there's only two things that happen to you when you're about in your deathbed. One, you look back and you regret, or number two, you look back and you go, dang, life was hard, but it was good. And the biggest regrets that people say a lot of times, man, I always wanted to try this and I never did it. So don't be that person. Make that decision today. So the only way you can get to the second option of saying, man, life was hard, but it was good, is the today decisions we make right now. So if you're like, I really want to open this business, like I want to inside me, but I don't want to let go of the comfort of this like steadiness of the corporate life. Like sometimes you have that steadiness. Pray and do it scared if it's time for you to do it scared.
This is the Fit Investor Podcast, where we talk about how to live a more holistic life of being fit, not only financially, but physically and faithfully. We'll be joined by experts in all these areas to share their experiences and actionable and practical tips so that you can be a fit investor too. So now let's join our hosts, Cale Delaney and Brenna Carls.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Fit Investor. I'm your host, Cale Delaney, and today our special guest is Thais Saenz. And Thais' journey spans continents and careers, beginning in the heart of the Amazon jungle. Afterwards, her corporate climb led her to the bustling states of Texas and Florida, where she thrived in working with Fortune 500 brands. But it was her role as a wife and a mother of three that ignited her passion for adventure and entrepreneurship. So resigning from the corporate world, she founded Saenz Global, a venture that rapidly flourished over 80 team members in just 3 years. And so Thais embodies the spirit of fearless exploration, both in business and in life. And so we are excited to explore this journey with Thais today. So Thais, welcome to The Fit Investor.
Thanks so much, Cale. Super excited to be here with you. And yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for our audience, I know each other personally. Her father is actually the pastor at the church that we attend. So that's how we had met. And so I'm interested, though, because I hear the little tidbits that your father has shared at church just about his life and growing up and doing the missionary work in the Amazon. And of course, that's where you were born and spent some years. So I'm curious. I want to hear about this stuff. So why don't you just take us back and start us off early on and tell us about your Amazon escapades?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, it's funny. Most kids grow up with dolls and girls grow up with dolls and some of their toys and like a lot of plastic. My toys were literally monkeys and sticks and trying to like play with snakes that I would find. And I would like give my mom heart attacks. I didn't have a bed. Instead, we slept on hammocks, right? And at night, all the rats get crazy, but like at night, the rats really come out. And so you have to be on the hammocks because the rats just like, fill the floors. It's just wild. Like the bugs just come out. I had a really adventurous childhood. And yet I learned the power of team, right? Because a village is a team. So just really powerful there. And so growing up as a kid, I would see it's a whole different world when you're inside of a village. So we literally worked with the Chukuna Indians. So at that time, I didn't know how to speak Chukuna. To this day, I know a little bit words, like I know a few words, like I know the song Rejoice in the Lord Always, like called Tupanana. So I know still some of that language. So I know a little bit of that. But yeah. And my mom would always remind me, she's like, so I was just blonde. If you want to, I show you a photo, but blonde with green eyes, very light skin with like indigenous. And I was always standing out, but I was part of the tribe. I was part of the team. And so my mom, she would always tell me, they would pick you up in the morning and you would come back at when the night would like the night. And there was no worries because you were like in this village and there was like so much, everyone was watching one another's kids. And then as I grew up, we left being in the Amazon jungle. I then got to live in the Mexican city jungle, which went from monkeys to actual like concrete jungle. I literally took a drastic change. So I went to, at that time, it was the most polluted place in the world, Mexico City. So I went from no pollution to like a lot of pollution, crazy life there. But I would always go.
When that transition.
Yeah, so left Brazil, we left the jungle there when I was 3, went to Mexico City when I was 3 to 6. And so went to school there, learned Espanol. I say I'm Brazilian by blood, Mexican by heart, Mexicana, viva la raza. So learned all of the Mexican, I literally am Mexican by heart. Seriously, I'm obsessed, love Mexico. So went to the concrete jungle, lived there. So I was drastically different because I had so many indigenous ways of doing things. For example, I didn't sit down. I would crouch. Like you sit on your, I would just sit on I don't know how to explain it. it was almost like I was working out all the time as a little kid because I wouldn't sit my butt down because the Indians don't sit their butts down. They would just literally go down on their knees.
Like an air squat kind of.
Yeah, there you go. And then also, you don't call people. I would just pull on their shirt. So that's very typical. You just communicate different style. And so people would be like, Taste is so rude. So it just dealt with a lot of cultural differences there. And then we moved to America. And when we moved to America, we would always go I would go back to the jungle my whole life. So that my whole life, even though when I wasn't there, I would go back. So we would go back and to visit family, but mostly to do like mission work. So I was then growing up, and I would hate that my parents would make me go do mission work. I was so mad because I was like, I want to be with my cousins in the city, not go into the middle of the Amazon jungle and translate for people. Like teenage years totally was not understanding how awesome it was that I would get to go back to the villages that I was part of and translate. So I would do a lot of translating for mission doctors. So what they would do is they would take dentists, they would take medical equipment teams, and they would go on a boat and down the village. And you would see every case that you can ever imagine, like gangrene, like they got bit by a snake and they're like completely were getting gangrene. Am I saying that right in English? Their leg. So like translating there with the doctors to get that healed. In the Amazon, there's a lot of sugar cane. So their teeth rot really badly. So I would go there with the dentist and we would translate. I would be translating and there would be beautiful kids, 12 years old, 10 years old, 9 years old, teeth just rotting and in utter pain. So we would have to rip them out. They would choose to rip them out to put on fake ones instead. Like it's cheaper for them to go to the city and just buy some like fake ones or make something or have no teeth actually than actually be in utter pain. So it was these adventurous that really marked my life and the power of just team. And yeah, a lot of crazy stories. I just threw a lot at you. Sorry.
So, okay. So the timeline. So from birth to 3, were you actually born in?
Yeah, I was
tribe?
born in a tribe. I was not born in a hospital. I was literally born in a hut. No doctors, nothing. My mom was the real MVP there. She had me with absolutely no anesthesia, no nothing. Actually, my clavicle broke during birth and they didn't know. And so after about a week, so I'll make pictures as a baby. I'm like with a cast, right? So then they had like boat into the city. And then the doctors there realized that my clavicle was broken. Very adventurous. I was literally not born in a hospital. My birth certificate is really funny. I still have it till this day, of course. And it is, you feel like you're picking up something from another world.
Wow. Okay. You were born there until 3. Then at 3, you moved to Mexico City and you were in Mexico City until when?
6 years old.
6
So
years old.
6.
And then from 6, then you moved to the state?
Yeah. So from 6, I moved to Arizona, which at that point, Arizona was like living in Mexico, right? I was right there in the border of Nogales, which was like an hour away drive. Yeah. It was like living in Mexico City. So it's almost like it was like living in Mexico, not Mexico City, but it was the same feel.
So because, and again, for our audience, you're trilingual. So you speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So what was your first language?
Portuguese. So at home, we only spoke Portuguese. And my mom did a really good job that our whole entire life, you were not allowed to speak any language other than Portuguese at home. So she would force us to be like, even if we're speaking English or we try to speak to her in Spanish, she would act like she didn't understand us and she would make us speak Portuguese, which at the time you're growing up, it's really annoying, but you're really thankful as an adult. And you're like, man, I'm really thankful my mom didn't make it easy on us because I would have totally lost Portuguese 100%.
All right. Okay. And so then you learned Spanish while you were in Mexico City in school or?
Yeah. So I was totally immersed in the culture. So I was going to school fully in Spanish. Me encanta el español. So that's why I have a very Spanish accent. People don't think I'm like, when I'm speaking Spanish, I almost speak it better than Portuguese because that's how much I freaking love it. And so I don't even have an accent. They say I sound like I'm Hispanic. I learned Spanish there. And then living in Arizona, because there's my parents were church planters, right? We church planted churches in Spanish. Spanish was still such a big part of our life. So in church, it was Spanish. Home was Portuguese and school was English.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. I'm jealous. And of course, trying to raise kids myself now, and at least to try to be bilingual, English and Spanish is so difficult. And so what do you, with your kids, are you What are you doing for language with your kids?
Yes, we currently, right now, one of our bucket lists for our family was that when we got to a certain place, we wanted to give that same thing to our children, the full immersion of living in another country. And so we are here currently living in Brazil. So at home, we speak English, and in
Oh,
their day to day, they just speak Portuguese. So they go to school only in Portuguese. It's not a bilingual school. So they're learning to read, write in Portuguese. And at home, we do speak English so they can remember it because it's an important tool. So yeah, that's what we're currently doing right now. And
okay.
they're fully, yeah.
And then what about Spanish for them? Are you going to try to teach them Spanish as well?
Yeah, so they really like they're like, hablo español. So they're trying there. So what we're gonna do is we speak some Spanish sometimes with them, but we'll see what we're gonna do there. But our goal is definitely that they learn some Spanish. That's them going to getting some Spanish classes or there, because in Brazil there's not a lot of Spanish speaking at all. So yeah, we'll see what we do there, but we definitely want them to learn Spanish. We want them to have the benefit of 3 languages. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's so wonderful. That's one of my biggest gripes about the US education system is just the lack of emphasis on languages. Okay, they want you to take the academic side of some classes, but it doesn't teach you the language really, versus really putting an emphasis on being fluent in a second language. It's such a great gift and a great asset to have personally, professionally, and just everything. So I think it's awesome. I love that. And
They
the experiences that you had growing up are, obviously very unique. And like you were saying, while you were growing up, perhaps you didn't appreciate them as much. But looking back now, are you happy that you had those types of experiences?
100%. I am just so thankful that my parents didn't let loose. Like they didn't just let me do what I wanted to do. Right. So like, I would fight them and go, I want to stay in the city and hang out with my cousins. And they'd be like, no, you're absolutely not. You're going to go on this boat and you're going to go help. And it was a fight because my personality is pretty intense. So I always go with a fight. But yet they like stood their ground. And now I look at it and I'm like, I'm so thankful. The same thing with Portuguese at home. So my mom would stand her ground, should not allow it to be part of what we do at home. And so again, super annoyed growing up, was not thankful for it. But I always say I'm where I am today for the things that my parents sacrificed and did for us, right? And it wasn't maybe luxury things and things of that nature, but they gave us much more than that, which was languages, the ability to speak languages, the ability to know what it means to like help and community and people, and the importance of what people like this world is about people. And so I learned that all with my parents and their actions, and they live it out. So I'm really thankful for that. So definitely was not happy growing up. Definitely gave them a lot of headaches. But parents out there who are like, man, it's such a fight, keep fighting, right? Even with going to church, I didn't want to go to church. No, I don't want to go to church. You're going. You don't get to choose. And I know that can be hard sometimes for parents where they're like, they're teenagers, they really don't want to go. No, my parents had not even a question, not tolerated in their home. Those are the hard things that they did that I look back and I'm like, I'm so thankful they didn't let me take over with what I wanted to do. So it's a huge reflection of their love, because they didn't let me do what I wanted, which I'm thankful.
Yeah. And, I'm glad you bring that up because that's, again, such an important thing in today's society, at least especially in Western societies, is it's become a very soft culture and where kids rule the households or everything. You can't tell them what to do. You can't discipline them. Parents are supposed to be their friends, not their parents. And we wonder why there's so much chaos going on with our youth versus being a parent, using your life experience and your wisdom as best as you can to guide and direct them for what is right, whether they like it or not, whether it's comfortable or not, but being the parent, being the adult in the relationship, right? And yeah, force them to do things if it's for their best interest, whether they appreciate it or not. And so that's why I say, and this is from my personal reflections too, is that being a parent is probably the most thankless job, if you want to call it that, out there, or delayed, whatever, maybe delayed gratification or delayed thankfulness job. Because when kids growing up want to go rebel against everything, right? And it's not until later in life that you finally recognize that, oh, wow, I'm glad that they did these things or for me or whatnot. So yeah, for all you parents out there, take heed, be the adult in the relationship and make your kids do the important things, the good things that are in their best interest. Don't let them be run by their feelings or their hormones at their age or whatever it may be. They do not know what's best.
Yeah, 100%. I had a director once tell me, he says, the goal of parenting is that we're not raising future children. We are raising future adults. And so it's like our goal. And I was just listening to it. There's a part in the brain that when we do things that are hard or do things that we don't want to do, it grows and it expands and it's stronger, right? You get more grit. And so when our kids do things that they do not want to do, and obviously, of course, things that are like, ethical, right? Things that are right and good as parents that you want them to. I'm not talking if you're like a horrible parent, like this is not a talk for you. Okay. But if you're talking to your kid, hey, you're going to go to church. Hey, you're going to continue doing this instrument. You're going to continue doing this. And it's for the fight. It's going to be a fight. Okay. But it's causing them to like in their mind to be like, I'm doing things I don't want to do, but it's going to make me stronger. It's going to make them a more gritty adult. And as we all know, as adults, we need grit, right? Because we're like, adulting is intense. It is hard sometimes. It is hard. It is intense. And you got to be able to put your head up and keep going. And so I always remember that with my kids. I'm not raising future children. I'm raising future adults. And I want my kids to be awesome future adults, that they impact the world in a really positive way, that they don't think it's surrounded, like they don't have this victim personality, that I'm owed something. Like right. I always, we are owed nothing but death, as the word of God says, right? Like we are owed death, and that is what we should be getting, death, as Paul says, right? But yet we boast on the cross. And so I always say that, I'm like, we deserve absolutely nothing. What we deserve is death. And it is God's grace that gives us this ability to live in life. So just teaching our kids that, or it's like, future adults, you're not raising future children. So it just really helps you. Obviously, we want them to have a childhood. We're all fun. We have them do fun things. They're kids. But again, it's like the mission is that we get to raise an adult that can actually live as an adult.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's great advice. And you're absolutely right. Again, we see the impacts and the effects in our culture and society today from, society not encouraging that. And we reap what we sow, unfortunately. And I don't know, it's going to take a big cultural shift to get us back to where we need to be. But yeah, our default is to seek comfort and not to do the hard things, just like you said. And the hard things can be in all different aspects of life. It can be in your personal situations. It can be in your fitness. It can be in your career. But just like you said, being an adult is tough.
Yeah.
It really is. And so if you don't show or give your kids the tools and the skills to be able to handle those situations, they're going to be thrown out into a world that is going to eat them alive.
100%.
No idea how to handle these situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Our goal is to equip our children. And there's like some hacks that you learn right around the way. Like I learned this hack. So a lot of times when we're teaching our children, they're growing up, having 7-year-olds, a 3-year-old, and a 3-month-old. The thing that we're always taught to say, you're so intelligent. You're so intelligent. You're so intelligent. And so your child is, I'm so intelligent. I'm so intelligent. Then they go into the real world and they realize, I'm not as intelligent as I thought I was. So then their whole identity is crushed, right? But if you actually tell them things like, you're such a hard worker, right? Not you're so intelligent only, but man, you are such a hard worker. You, as an adult, you can outwork it. I'm very not intelligent, but I will outwork anybody, right? So that's me. I will outwork them. So that's me. And so just realizing like little hacks that you can do as parenting where you're really giving that, you're a hard worker. You're a hard worker. So as they're going into life, they're going, daggum hard worker, right? And so they're like, they can work hard. It's not just I'm intelligent and then it gets totally diffused when they realize, oh, I'm not as intelligent ever. Maybe you do have the most intelligent kid ever, right? But reality is when they go out to college, when they go into high school, when they go to wherever, they're maybe not going to be the most intelligent. That's okay. But they can be the hardest worker, right? So just little things like that I learned, I was like, that is so good. And so we really try to implement those things in our family where we're going, you are such a hard worker. Like, man, and then they embrace that. Like yesterday I got home and my daughter was like, look, Mom, look what I did. And I cleaned the whole living room. And I just flipped. I was like, all right, pumping her up. And I'm a hard worker. I'm like, you're a great hard worker. And so that's like something they can actually do. Just things like that.
Yeah.
Little,
No, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Like one of the things I try to do with Ramses, my little one, my youngest, is that I don't let him say can't.
uh-huh.
Do not say can't. No, you can do that. Don't say you can't do that. And maybe it's hard, but you can do that. And,
Yeah.
now he's getting into his little rebellious stage. So he likes saying he can't just because he knows he's not supposed to. But whenever he does, I'm like, yes, you can do that. Here, let's do it. Right?
Yeah.
And he's all happy when he does it. But yeah, it's something simple like that. You can do whatever you can do, whatever you want to do, if you push through it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And just like other things, like their identity is not, sometimes we're like, you're just like so-and-so. You're just like so-and-so. You're just like so-and-so. It's no, don't even say those things to your kids. You're not just so-and-so. You are just like what God made you for you, right? So just like giving them like a lot of, and I'm not saying, but just like who they are in Christ, like their identity, right? So like already helping them build their identity and like who they are and who God created them to be. Man, you're strong and courageous. You are. It's literally just saying scripture to them because
Right.
it's who God made us to be. It's no, you don't need it. Like do it scared. That's like a huge motto in our house. So we do it scared, right? So the kids are like, Mom, I want to turn on the light in the room. I'm scared. I'm like, do it scared. And they're like, I'm going to do it scared. And then they run and they turn it on. They're obviously a little scared. And they come back and they're like, I did it scared. And I'm like, yeah. So it's do it scared. Like in life as adults, we're going to do things scared. As kids, you're going to do things scared. So obviously, again, all premises to good ethical things. They're not, again, the ethical things I'm talking about. But yeah, just like these little things in your house that really just helping them with their identity and who they are in Christ. Like we are more than conquerors. Yes, you're going to lose. That's part of, you're going to lose the game. Thiago was upset yesterday. He lost to his sister. And I'm like, and I could be like, you both won. Good job. No, you lost. That's what happened. You lost, and this is part of life, and you can try again tomorrow. Try again tomorrow. And yeah, just little things like that you learn by reading and by hearing other really great people that really have kids that you're like, I want to implement, want them to do those things. So I don't know. There's so much. Our kids are awesome. So you get to coach them and parent them. I think it's just it's coaching. We're coaching our kids to be great adult. Yeah.
No, that's great. Again, great words of wisdom there.
Hey guys, it's Brenna Carl, CEO and co-founder of The Mortgage Shop. When I'm not spending my time searching for the best pizza in town, working out, well, because of pizza, or fighting sharks as Kale likes to say, I spend my time educating clients on the best investment products that will help them build generational wealth and making sure their loan process is as smooth as warm butter on a piece of toast. Call us today to get started with your investment journey at 800-816-7982 or, to talk more about pizza. Talk to you soon.
So growing up, okay, we explored the growing up and doing the missionary work and things like that. But growing up with your father being a pastor, and so of course being in the church scene, how, I guess looking back, can you think of things that perhaps encouraged you to grow and continue in your faith? Because you hear it oftentimes that the pastor's children, oftentimes it's really goes one of two ways. There's usually no middle ground. They either really embrace it and grow in it, or they reject it. So I'm also curious what works, right? What worked to help you embrace your faith and grow in it?
Yeah. So I will tell you, one of the things my parents, it's interesting. My parents are pastors right now, but really I would say they're missionaries. That's their true heart. And there's very huge drastic between missionaries and pastors, like very much so that my parents never, ever came out of their mouth and said, you need to be like this because you are the pastor's daughter. People are watching you. You know what I mean? So they never put that on us, ever. That never came out of their mouth. So they would never put that pressure on us of people are watching you, be perfect. Because that's what tends to happen a lot of times, like where PKs, as they call them, they are like, they have masks on. So they on at church, mask off at church, mask on, mask off, because that's also what they see in sometimes own life, right? Mask on, mask off. And so I have to say my parents did a great job never putting that pressure on us. And also my parents did a great job because they don't mask on and mask off. But on stage is who he is at home. right? What you see, my mom is not your typical church pastor's wife because she's not that, like, she's just not. My mom's like a black belt in jujitsu. She is introverted to the inside. She does not enjoy talking to people that much. She's a one-on-oneer. She doesn't like public scene. Like, she's not what is your typical pastor's wife. And it goes back to my parents are really missionaries. That's really their foundation. So my mom was always like, always had her back. So even when we did things that were like, I'm sure embarrassed them, they always had her back. And that really helped me be like, this is the real deal. And obviously I was 18, I totally was. And also my friends. I think if you can get your kids to have friends that are real, like genuine, and that's a God thing. So just pray for it. Not just because sometimes church friends can be the worst friends. School friends can be the worst friends too. You don't know, like they're out there. But I was really blessed with really awesome church friends that love Jesus, and they really helped point me to the cross. And that was, I really believe, my parents' prayers. So like friends are everything. They either will make you or they truly will break you. And a lot of pastors' kids do tend to have that where they're having to hide things and sneak things. Then it's tough. It's a tough thing if you have that pressure on you. So if you are a pastor or if you are pastor's wife, the best thing you can do for your kids is not pressure them to be perfect or have it all together, but let them, be authentic and have their backs and encourage them to, like, the best thing you could live your life out loud and they'll see it. I know that was a big thing. So my parents are the real deal. I always say that. So I'm super proud of them as their daughter.
No, and that makes sense. Yeah. You say what you're, what is it? More is caught than taught, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. So living by faith, I totally caught that from.
And so when did you accept Christ as your Lord and Savior early in life, or did that come later on?
Yeah, so I actually accepted Christ when I was I remember to this day, I was in Mexico City with my mom. I was around 5 or 6 years old, and my mom just shared with me the gospel. And again, you're already hearing it. And I understood it. And I said, I do want to have Jesus in my heart. So I was very young. So even when you have young kids, they can understand and they can understand the gospel and they can accept Jesus Christ really young. I was 5 when I accepted him. Pretty sure I was 5. But I then got into my teenage years and got really lost, right? So I got really lost. And so when I was around 18, one of my friends, Shannon, which her sister went to a mission school, and I went to visit her and I was like, I want to go to this mission school. So at 18 years old, I was like, Mom and Dad, instead of going to college right away, I want to go to mission school. And they were like, what the heck is going on? Like you were crazy and you're 18, you want to go to mission school? In that college. And we're like, but what I love about my parents is they never think my ideas are crazy. They're always like, or I'm sure they do 100%, but they were like, they don't say it. So they were like, all right, we'll support you. And yeah, so I went to a mission school when I was 18. And I think that really helped me really establish my faith and walk with God. But that was a decision that came directly from me that I was like, all right, I went to the school, visited my friend. I liked it. Can I go to this school? And they're like, sure. So I was in mission school for 2 years, and I really think that set some really strong foundation for me on top of the foundation I already had before. But yeah, I was definitely wilding out in my teenage years and definitely needed Jesus.
So what a missionary school, what do they, I guess I'm sure there's lots of different options, but what do they teach you or what do you do? Is it like active missionary work or is it?
Yeah.
Academic?
Yeah, so it's active missionary work. And so you are literally serving different places around the world, missions. You're also doing education. So I was taking college classes at the time as well, like 1 or 2 courses through at that time Moody Bible Institute. And so, yeah, so you're traveling and you're with people all around your age. So it's almost like that you're in this like moment. You're young, you're like, you don't have the stuff holding you, right? Like your school is mission school. So you're just constantly learning leadership, you're learning serving. When Hurricane Katrina hit, I was actually on boots on the ground for 1 month over at the main, I don't know if you guys remember Hurricane Katrina, how it devastated. So we were there, boots on the ground for a month. We were sleep on the church floors, and then the big army trucks would come and we would go knocking to see if people were still in home. And then we would supply them with food or we would be working all day. So pretty much it's like you're doing is labor. It's free labor. And you're paying to do labor. You're literally paying to work, but mission work. But it's definitely, it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. Awesome. So you did that for 2 years and then what happened after that?
So after that, I decided to come home, went to Palm Beach Community College there and was like, I'm going to major in marketing. So I went to Palm Beach Atlantic as well. I was actually going to do international business, met with a professor, and I asked him, should I do international business? And he said this very interesting thing to me. I'm going to tail you off. He was like my international professor. And he's, I'm going to tell you not being your teacher. I'm like, our professor. I'm like, yes. He's, do you speak another language? I'm like, yes. He's, have you lived in another country? I said, yes. He's, what is international business going to teach you? And I was like, he's, if you want to work in corporate America, I would focus on marketing. And I said, really? And I was like, okay. So I literally just took his wisdom. And I was always praying, God, give me wisdom. Give me wisdom. I love the book of Proverbs. So seeking wisdom, seeking counsel. And so he's go study marketing. And so I did. I switched my major, went to marketing, and my goal was to work in corporate America. So I remember being, and then I went to Texas and went to do my remainder of my bachelor's over in Texas and focused on my business school. And that was one of the best decisions I made there because my professors were former all CEOs of like big companies. And they were followers of Jesus Christ. I went to a business school that was Christian, a business school. I went to school and it was a Christian university. And the professors were all former CEOs, very successful for like large companies, but they were all believers of Jesus Christ. So they then retired and then got their doctorates so that they could go and teach business, but all in with biblical, ethical ways. Now that professor that was like my biggest, I don't know, it's like my biggest blessing. He's actually the mayor now over in Texas, one of the mayors, one of the counties. Yeah. So very cool. So that's when I went to study business. And I remember being in this college because the college, most of the people that went to college at that time, they wanted to be missionaries. And we had to we had to take mission classes. And at this time, I was a little burnt out. I was like, I don't work about missions right now. Like I was burnt out, I felt, from church planning, all this other stuff. And I remember being in this class and they're like asking everybody, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like what you want to do when you finish college? And everyone's, I want to do missions. I want to do the missions. And I said, I want to make a lot of money and bless missionaries. And everyone's, and that's literally what I said. And everyone, and then I think there was one other business major that clapped in there. And we were like, so yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur. So even I've always been selling stuff. And I think growing up with parents who were awesome, but had nothing. I love my parents. They have everything, but they have no material stuff. Like I didn't grow up with parents with material. They really don't. And so I was always like, I want to give back to them for all they've done for us. So that was like a drive inside of me. And it is till this day, actually. So yeah.
Interesting. I think that's cool because there's so many ways to give back with the gifts that God gives us, right? Whether it's our time, our talents, or our money, or whatever it may be. And oftentimes we don't think, when we think of giving back, we oftentimes think of what you were talking about before, being a missionary or going to serve someplace or serving in your church or physical service or giving our time. And yeah, if we're a Christian, of course, we're expected to tithe and that type of thing. But a lot of people don't really think of that your service, your mission field can be, just like you said, to be an entrepreneur, to gain wealth so that you can use that to further God's kingdom, right? Because plenty of missionaries out there who need the funding, right? So they can't focus on getting all this funding while they're trying to do this physical missionary work, right? So you need both sides of that coin to really make it work. Stigma that I feel is out there in the Christian community of that it's not necessarily okay to be wealthy. And you get the oft-quoted, the love of money is the root of all evils, which it absolutely is. But if you're using it in alignment with God's will and to further his kingdom, then by all means, there's so many patriarchs in the scriptures that were very wealthy men, right?
100%. Yes.
So I think that's great because there's so many missionaries, so many organizations out there that need people their gift is to build wealth so that they can use that and transfer that to help somebody else's gift, which may be, or whatever it is. So we need those two sides of the coin. So I think that's great. So that takes us then into your starting of Saenz Global, or rather, how long did you work in the corporate world beforehand?
Oh yeah, I was in corporate for 15 years.
15 years. Oh, wow.
Yeah. In corporate America, for 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the pivotal point then in saying, okay, I need to, or I want to make that shift?
Yeah. So I have always been in like a creator of like ideas, right? So I've always been like when I was a kid in Amazon, when we would go to the Amazon, for example, right? I would talk to the indigenous women and they would make these beautiful necklaces and jewelries. And I would say, do you want to sell them? And they're like, "Yes." And I would then go and I'm like, how much do you want to sell it for? And they're like, so and so amount. And they would be like some very low amount. And I would be like, no, let's sell it for more because you can get more. Let me translate and go out and start selling. So I would literally go and sell to the doctors and nurses and everybody like these beautiful beaded seeds. I'm like, you sell it, and there you go. So I was always having ideas, but I would just never make money out of them. I would just like always, or would like at school, I would hack and be like, hey mom, can I like go to Sam's Club and hack up on some candies because I'm going to sell them. So I would sell. So I'm always like finding ways to sell things. And I would play with my friends, the give me anything and I'll sell it to you game. And nowadays, like laugh that we would do this, but I'm like, actually, that works so well. They would like give me a pencil or a water bottle and I would try to sell it to them. And they're like, man, I love selling. That's my thing. I truly love the art of sell because it's like selling something. I don't know. It's communication. It's people. I love it. My jam. Cold calling, for example, people hate it. Oh, I love it. It's like an adrenaline rush.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So it's stuff like that. So I was in corporate America, always had a really successful career because there's this verse that I always remember because I would always wisdom and it was saying, do all things as if you are doing it for the Lord and not for man. And I would be selling shoes, for example, and I would be like, God, let me sell these shoes for your glory. And I would be like top, and I would always be the top sales. I would be the youngest person always in departments and things like that. I was at Nordstrom. I was an intern at Nordstrom in Texas. And that internship had the biggest university in the US. So it had like interns from US, Texas Tech, like all these big universities. And then there was my tiny university no one had ever heard of. And so long story short, as I'm doing corporate America, I was always like top at everything I was doing. Everything I was doing, I was the top salesperson, top this, top that. Then I got recruited into this company where I worked for 8 years doing stainless steel manufacturing. I got recruited. I was 24 years old, and my job was to travel all of Latin America representing the company. So this was a job I thought I was going to have in my 40s, right? That's something I really wanted in my future. But I was 24 and got this job. I had no idea what was happening. I just knew this lady kept hounding me and saying, you got to apply for this job. And I'm like, I don't want to apply for this job. So I kept applying. She said, please apply. I finally applied, got this job. So for 8 years, I got to travel. I had the dream job, right? Corporate job. I traveled 5-star hotels every single month. Everywhere I touched was 5-star hotels. I was in Aruba, in Curacao, in Trinidad, in all of Central America, all of South America. Had the life, right? But there was always something in me that I was like, I just always would hit this ceiling too fast, right? So too fast. I would hit it too fast. And so I would get bored. And so I remember I listened to a podcast and the podcast said, the best thing I ever did is go virtual. And I was like, so COVID hit. I was 4 months on maternity leave during COVID. And long story short here, my friend that I went to college with, Mission College, she started a company called The Virtual Savvy, and she teaches millions of people how to open virtual companies. And I was like, Christy, sister-in-law, you should check her program out. I think it works. My sister-in-law went ahead, did it, and she opened up her company. And then I would give her tips all the time. And then Cliff's like, Cliff, who's my husband, said, why don't you open your own business? So I was like, you know what? Let me try. So I just did. I just randomly did it. And it just worked. If you were alive and breathing, I'm like, I can help you. So then 5 months later, I resigned my corporate career because it was time to go full time. How I went full time though was really Cliff's cousin. She was vice president of Oracle at that time. She's now the senior vice president of another company now. One of the most intelligent women I've met in my whole life and have the honor of being related to now. I'm like, she's my family tree. You're married to your cousin's my husband. So her and I love her. And she said to me, Thais, you got to do this because you got to just do this. And she's like, I believe in you. And here's some investment money, give it back when you can. And I was like, what? And went full time. And here we are today, 4 years later.
No way. Wow. Cool story. So I guess first off, just for our audience, what is your business?
So what we do is we do administrative support for roofing contractors. So if you're a contractor in the United States, you are really good at selling roofs. but the administrative part, which has a lot of logisticals, permits, so many things, COCs, like a bunch of things that go behind the scenes, they tend not to be that good at it, or they get someone to help them. And most people are not going to want to stay at that job. So what our job is, we are elite at it. So we're a business to business model, and we plug into their company and we do all the back end. We do it fully for them so they can sell more roofs, make more money, have a happier team. And then we run all the administration for them.
And how did that come about? Because it seems like such a random thing.
Yeah. So at that time I was involved. It was like, again, the connection thing where God opens doors that no man can open. That's always what I say. God does the impossible. At that time, we were just really a company that was alive and breathing. I had a taco company, a pharmacy, a window and door company. Like I'm telling you, if you were alive and breathing, I would help you. And there was this company that had worked with an administrative team before, and they were really unhappy, and they were a roofing contractor. And I have this thing where I sell things before they're built. It's just how I always do it. Because when I know I can build it, I can sell it. So I can sell it without it being built because I know I can immediately build it. And so I got on the phone with this individual. They're like, hey, we heard about you, that you really like the construction realm. Because I do. I have, when stainless steel manufacturing construction feels really comfortable to me. And they're like, we're a roofing contractor. And and during this time I had a coach. So she was really coaching me through this. And she was the one that connected me to them. So this roofing company, we got connected. And I remember I sold them and they said, this sounds like it's magic. And I said, oh, it is. It is. And I'm like, there is nothing built out, but I got the people to build it out. And so they onboarded. And at that time, they onboarded for $3,500 a month. And now they're like over $8,000 a month. They're still with us till this day. Yeah. And then we loved roofing. We learned all things roofing because I had the right operations team, right? You need to have the right people. So it goes to teamwork, right? So if you don't have the right team, you can't accomplish anything. So it's the right team. So we had the right team and everyone was hands on deck, like hands on board. Let's do it. So we literally learned how to do permitting. We learned how to do everything roofing. And then we were just like, let's just go after roofers. Let's do it. And then that's what we started to do.
Wow. So who was the initial team?
The initial team was myself and my friend Jackie, she used to live in the US and then went to Argentina, and the company she worked for, LATAM, went bankrupt. And then my right hand, which was Maria McMillan, who was actually my right hand in corporate America. So I would go out and get all the business and then she would run all my logistics. And for some reason, I also knew her in college, but we ended up ending up in the same corporate company. And then she ended up being my right hand because no one in corporate wanted to work with me because I would always break the rule, but I would always get results. So no one wanted to work with me because I break the rules, and ops did not like that. But she joined my team and she was kick butt. She was my right hand and she always wanted to continue working with me. So when I started my business, I said, you should start your own business. So she started hers and can we just come back? Can I just actually come and work with you? And I said, yeah, let's do it. I can't pay you. So you're going to pay for free. She's, I'm in. And then, yeah, she's now our COO and now we pay her. So it's good.
Wow. No, it's such a great story. And I've got to think that all the experiences that you had in your upbringing really helped mold you into this type of person I guess confidence is the word that comes to mind. And hearing your whole story, having the confidence to venture out on your own, having the confidence to say, yeah, I'm going to sell something before it's built. I know I can do it. I know I can build it. And so, yeah, I just have to think that your upbringing and having all these different experiences, seeing all these different things, just being in all these different teams and communities really helped shape you into that leader that you are today. Would you agree with that, or do you think so?
Yeah, 100%. So I think it taught me grit. And so when I first started Saenz Global, I was slamming calls. It was cold calling all day long. There was moments I was detrimental because it would not working. And and it's just Maria would be like, just keep going. And I would do 100 calls, nothing, 100 calls, get slammed in the face, and then finally got one. Then finally got another one. Then finally got another one. Definitely grit. And I know, and also this hunger for this can happen, this competitiveness of this, we can make this happen because there's a greater purpose, which is people. And I think our company has grown in such a healthy way because it's not the end of the day. Yes, finances are a blessing and I wanted to bless like our team and our people. I always say we win together, we lose together, but it's this drive where it's like, you can do things with excellence and be really great at them and do it all for the glory of God. And grit, you got to have grit because you're going to get punched in the face a lot of times when you're with a starting company. Yeah, it's definitely came from my experiences. for
Yeah.
sure.
Wow. And as we wrap it up here, though, I just want to see, do you incorporate your faith into your business, whether it's overtly or just through the values that you establish with your business, or how does that integrate?
Yeah, definitely the values in our business are huge. So I would say we're not like I would always say we're like a Chick-fil-A, where Chick-fil-A is not a Christian company. You're not like, like we're for profit, right? So like we're for profit company, Christian, like I'm a Christian and there's a lot of people that are Christians there, but the values in our company are 100% based on who the Lord is. So I always say the values are we're a team together. That's one big thing, team. And so I always, even how things are set up internally, and also learning. The main thing in our company, I said, leaders build great leaders.
Mm.
So our team is a company where we're constantly building great leaders, where I want my leaders to get promoted. How do you get promoted? You got to be a great leader so that when you're not there, your team you can get promoted level. And so really changing this like corporate mentality, especially in our countries, sometimes Latin America, Brazil, Argentina, all these things where you don't want to tell people your card because they're going to take them. And so it's different. No, show your cards, because that's how you can then go up to the next level. Now we're this together. We're like a team together. Ask questions. Doesn't make you dumb. It makes you bold because you're actually bold enough to say, don't know. And so things of that nature, values, principles that we really implement into our company and our culture, where we literally win together. That's our culture motto.
Love it. So then, some parting words of wisdom. What would you say to somebody who is looking to venture out on their own or start a new venture? What would you say to somebody like that?
So there's a lot of things I could say there, but there's a book and I'm not remembering the name of it right now. So there's some people that I don't believe entrepreneurship is for everybody. That's like a huge thing for me. Your risk tolerance needs to be extremely high. So there's a lot of people that are like, I'm really good at making pies. And people are like, oh my gosh, she should open a pie shop. And they're like, yes. And then they open their pie shop and then the pie shop closes down because you don't realize it's not about making pies. It's about marketing. It's about sales. It's about quality control. It is about so many things that are involved. So first, first I would definitely like embrace continuous learning. So see if this is something that you are take some personality tests, take some things of that nature, right? Take some, just embrace learning to see, okay, this matches, this is something I could do, right? Because some people are like, yeah, I feel like social media just really makes entrepreneurship seem like it's so glamorous. As we all know, Kale, it is not.
Right.
There is some. So if you are really certain that you want to go out and do this, do it scared. I always say in life, you're going to end up two ways when you die. There's only two things that happen to you when you're about in your deathbed, and they say it every time. You can read about it. One, you look back and you regret. So you have a lot of regret, right? Or number two, you look back and you go, damn, life was hard, but it was good. And the biggest regrets that people say a lot of times, man, I always wanted to try this and I never did it. So don't be that person. Make that decision today. So the only way you can get to the second option of saying, man, life was hard, but it was good, is the today decisions we make right now. So if you're like, I really want to open this business, like I want to inside me, but I don't want to let go of the comfort of this like steadiness of the corporate life. Like sometimes you have that steadiness. Pray and do it scared if it's time for you to do it scared, right? Seek wisdom too. Seek wisdom. So I had a lot of wisdom. And once you get into that place where you are running your business, seek coaching. Like we're really big on coaching. We invest a lot in coaching. That's how we got into where we are so quickly, because you can get to where you are really low and with a lot of punches in the face. Or you can invest in coaches and they can get you there a lot quicker with a lot less punches in the face. So that's what I say there. So embrace continuous learning and adapting, and then do it scared. So that's there.
I like that. Do it scared. We usually ask our guests to leave us with 3 actionable or practical tips for our audience, but you've already left us with a whole ton of them. No, it's really, this was really eye-opening for me. I obviously didn't know a lot of your backstory and everything. So this is really interesting. And yeah, lots of great words of wisdom, both personally and professionally. So thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Kale. I really appreciate having, and I felt like this was, I literally felt like I'm talking to a friend because it makes sense. We are friends. So definitely my favorite podcast I've been on so far. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so if our audience wants to get in touch with you or learn more about you or Saenz Global, what's the best way?
Yeah, we are really big on our social. We have a really great marketing team. So you can go to Saenz Global at any of Instagram, LinkedIn, anything Facebook. So Saenz is spelled S as in Sam, A as in Apple, E as in Eagle, N as in Nose, Z as in Zebra, and then the word global. So Saenz Global. Yeah. And on there, you can also, and I'm on LinkedIn, so Taste Signs, but Saenz Global, you can find a lot on there. And if you do want to chat with me, you can also schedule a discovery call. So go for it.
There we go. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, definitely check out Saenz Global. Check out Thais on LinkedIn. And again, we appreciate your time, and I'll be seeing you shortly.
Yes. See you later. Okay.
All right. Thank you.